What can you tell me about Dennis Norton?
He does... well, he gets everything wrong. And he does cocks up.
Hello, and welcome to another collection of what are now known around these parts as cocks-up. You know, those little moments members of media tend not to put on their CVs. And tonight, as our contribution to the cause of conservation, the programme is manufactured from recycled parts of previous shows, specifically those put out over the past 5 years or so. Now, as ever with these anthology programmes, the main difficulty was choosing which clips to include. So, to make the decision process easier, we didn't just rely on viewers' requests and our own personal preferences, we also recruited a selection committee of a type very rarely seen in this price range. Some of the stars and personalities whose own momentary lapses from perfection we have in the past had the pleasure of exhibiting. Talking about this class of person.
I think my favourite of all time is the live interview with the rabbi with his two sons around him.
Oh, this is one of my favourites.
Tonight begins the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights. And standing by his home, live with us tonight, is Rabbi Bradley Bliefeld of the Baltimore Hebrew Congregation, his family, and now they will light the first light of Hanukkah.
Praised are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has kept us in life, sustained us, and permitted us to reach this joyous occasion. Amen.
Rabbi Bliefeld, this is Richard Scher, and we'd like you to explain the significance of Hanukkah, if you would.
Religious freedom. We commemorate the time over 2,000 years ago when a small group of Jews fought for their religious freedom against the Assyrians. And indeed has a special meaning this year because we of the Jewish community share in the sword, the hostages being held around. The way too also under a contemporary of religious freedom.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just love Beryl Reid. And again, being in the business, I mean, I always think when we dry, you know, the official term for it, it's just wonderful. I think Beryl's very delicate in what she says.
Whenever they start dumping their filth on this planet, they usually pick the places that are still filthy from the last industrial revelation. Silly old cow.
And this beautifully trained collie which sets off to do these magnificent tricks, and everything goes wrong.
I think actually it baffles me. In this country, for some reason, when a prisoner's taken out of van, they always put a blanket over his head. This had to happen sometime. I can empathise with that woman who is surrounded by turkeys so much. I'm terrified of animals, but turkeys...
You never notice how ugly these things are? They're big and nothing on them is blunt. Everything is sharp. They are ugly. Yes, you are. Nonetheless, every Christmas and Thanksgiving shoot. There's one on my table next Christmas. There's one on everybody's table. But coming up next, another main course. Alligator, whatever, just go to the store. Shoo! Go away! What kind of a ghost are you?
Bernard Matthews can say what he likes. I'm with that lady. They are ugly. In fact, I read somewhere that when turkeys make love, the female closes her eyes and thinks of a swan. But telling one rather alarming thing the choices of our judging panel revealed, there was a distinct preference for clips that might be described as teach yourself grievous bodily harm. A tendency that's certainly evident in this next pile, which is built around sport, exercise and other such damaging activities.
Well, the one I really like is because when I wake up in the morning, I really feel that sometimes I should go for a run, and when you look at the state of me, I'm not a fit man. But this clip made me decide I'm healthier staying in bed.
I was much amused by the reporter who was trying to launch the campaign on trying to keep bad language off the terraces at a football match.
So Bristol Rovers and Bristol City are leading the way in this last-ditched attempt to clean up language on the terraces. Whether it's going to work, that will have to be seen. But nevertheless, the directors at Bristol Rovers are absolutely adamant today to make sure that the crowds, the family, and the supporters and every person else...
Well, Katie, not only have you got a fine pair of legs, you've got one heck of a pair of boots. Oh. You've given not boots, I said boots. First choice is the jockey, because I can understand how he felt perfectly being an ex-sportsman.
Footballers were not always non-smokers. I could tell you of two who played for Newcastle United during those famous cup finals of the 1950s and were delighted to hear the referees whistle at half-time so they could go in and look up in the Wembley dressing room. It is different now, of course. You never ever see a professional smoker playing football.
Tîm mynd dros y gap yn gystal. Yn fflipio fe ar y tractor I weddill y tîm. A'i harau ar draws
Zola Butt has been named by the English cross-country selectors for their team, the World Championship in Portugal next month, despite the tremendous disappointment of having been forced to run out in the English Championship today. So that brings us to the end of our programme. Now let's have a look at the cocksucker that cuts on it.
There was a certain wrestler, I think he's trying to do some, promotions for his wrestling show, and he's doing the Muhammad Ali, but he's going strong.
That type of man you are! You don't destroy my work in 4 minutes and get away with it! The man in the white suit has had a twitch in his right eye ever since. But that incident could also have found a place in our next bundle of clips, because what they're here to illustrate is the important television precept, place no trust at all in any of your colleagues. As witness to that, Sue Carpenter takes the stand.
The newscaster in the studio, I love the way he turned around and speak to everyone behind him.
Well, again, looking ahead to the second edition of 7 National News tonight at 10:35, and we talk at length to Youth, Sport and Recreation Minister Neil Tresize. Would you please shut up? Christ's sake, I'm on air. Excuse me.
It was something I always wanted to do.
Now, if you desire quickly to slow the machine down, you can press 2 controls at once.
Our reporter Kay Bully has been down to Buckingham Palace, where traditionally they pin the news on the gate. Let's see the crowds.
Well, as you can see, the rain so far been keeping the crowds away here.
Well, I think this one's a perfect example of something that would frequently happen to me on TVAM when I'd be handing back to somebody and I would see their face and I would not remember their names.
Tomorrow is the last day of summer. Sharon? Count it. Susan.
Well, Sloan Brown, you can see her in the background. She unfortunately is on crutches tonight. So Sloan Brown fell down.
When playing darts, the double always falls upon the floor. When I use a public loo, there's no bolt upon the door. When I pull the Christmas... what do you want? I'm trying to make a program. Please stop.
Ceremonies away at this hour for the Bob Hope Center for Eye Surgery at Presbyterian Hospital.
Action Force Scott Wallace is standing by live at the ceremonies with the latest. Scott?
Well, of course, Bob Hope is one of America's favorite entertainers. He's also one of Oklahoma's favorites. In fact, he's on the stand right now during this dedication ceremony. So let's listen in to see what Mr. Hope has to say.
Thank you very, very much.
through the Christmas holiday, ITN will be on the air as usual, bringing you the latest news from Britain and around the world. I'll be here with the rest of the team on Christmas Day.
And I'll be here on Boxing Day. So join ITN and keep in touch.
I'd like very much, particularly with the sort of news background that I have, was seeing the report on the mad cow disease with a rather unexpected ending. That was hilarious.
Meantime, researchers say it will be 3 to 4 years of intensive research before the mystery bug is identified. This cow will be put down.
Pam Royal, bringing an elegant new dimension to the word gobsmacked. On then to some of the highly emotional outtakes we snapped from soaps and drama series. Although for some reason, very few of these made it into our distinguished consultative bodies, us three. Other members of the supporters club rather fell for scenes like this one.
Oh, baby. Come on. I can do it.
I'm handing it to you on a platter. Waring's recommendation and a guaranteed wage double what you're earning at the bank. The door to the world's open to you, Charlie, and you haven't got the guts to kick it wide.
Look, I'll make the decisions, not you.
Well, why don't you then? You wiggle up to this.
Yeah. What is it? Oh. Thought you'd been at your dinner by now. Well, we're not. What do you want?
I just came to see if you... Oh, I didn't find... oh.
Andy, you two go on ahead. I'll catch you up. Let's go inside there.
You sure?
Of course I'm sure. Listen, I've got a couple things to do. I'll be back in about...
I thought you could be my friend, that you could make things better just because...
Hello, Ted.
It's not time for me to be at the station yet, is it, Ted?
I just called Ted and she called him Ted. His name's Todd, isn't it?
Yeah, my name is Todd, but in the show it's Ted.
Oh,
It's impossible. Dangerous.
Lucky, Janice.
Remember. Remember what?
A cowboy getting off the horse, absolutely marvellous. He's word perfect, but where does he go to?
Whoa. Message from General Custer, sir. Message from General Custer.
Now you know why they used to execute the messenger who brought bad news. Mind you, a couple more takes with this style of writing, they probably wouldn't have needed to. But we're perilously near the end of part one side now, and as there's a great bundle of our best stuff yet to be crammed in, we'll enter the break with just a single clip. Though it is one to which our entire panel gave unreserved, if somewhat puzzled, approval. All I could tell about it was that it came to us from Dutch TV, its troubled central character had just won some kind of award, and no, it was not a home video.
Little boy with the eel, I found so amusing because his face is a picture.
I really sympathise with that little boy trying to put that eel in that pot.
It's the fact that the boy keeps trying to put the lid back on the jug without the eel even being inside it.
I love that empty shot of that jar and what was going to happen.
The funny thing about it is persistence.
You can hear his little sighs.
After each failure, he goes, a wonderful little result.
I love this one.
didn't know what I was saying, but I felt so sorry for him. We've all been with the kind of situation that breaks up marriages. I can never get one off myself.
I think by now they really should have invented something a little bit better.
He really should have brought one out and said, this is one I made earlier.
I have never seen anybody concentrate better, more specifically, on any object in my life.
A Middle European efficiency expert who knows exactly what he's talking about. What were they referring to? Well, if, as some people claim, there is a special deity in charge of small annoyances, sardine tin ring pulls that come away in your hand, dry cleaners' labels that are stapled in, checks that tear anywhere but along the dotted line, well, his crowning achievement was undoubtedly the wax cardboard milk container that not only contains, it refuses to let go. When they were introduced into Austria, though, a highly placed ministry official appeared on television to show the Austrian people exactly how to open them.
Wir haben es versucht. Mal zuerst bei diesem Verpackungstyp die Laschen aufziehen. Dann kommen hier einmal die Öffnungsanweisungen zum Vorschein. An und für sich ist die Packung perforiert. Es kann aber sein, dass dann das händische Öffnen nicht so leicht möglich ist. Sie sehen es auch hier. Mir gelingt es auch nicht, dann am besten
so eine Schere drauf. Was gibt es? Wir haben schon bereit.
Die meisten Packungen mit dem modernen Forst haben Sie über eine Schere. Die schneide ich jetzt hier mal auf. Und das macht tatsächlich Seite auch noch. So, alles richtig gut. Dann müssen wir hier die Laschen vorziehen. Möglichst eine schöne Schraube bilden. Das ist nicht schon mal gut. Und jetzt werden wir versuchen.
Immensely satisfying. But if that one was down on most people's lists, there were other outtakes with which individual performers felt a special personal affinity.
I think I'm most susceptible to laughing on screen, particularly on live television when you may say one thing and it may have a different meaning.
Hello again. Before we continue our programmes this evening, we'd like to greet some new Norwegian viewers who are joining us tonight for the first time en route.
I cannot remember names. And I always feel sympathy when I see someone's eyes, and you can see it very easily. The eyes go glassy, and you know.
The message to them and anyone else who may find anything suspicious when they return is call the police immediately. Jeremy Hands, ITN, in Putney. Except this isn't Putney, is it?
Well, the thing that really tickles me, I'm afraid, I'm ashamed to say about myself, is other people's misfortune. And there was one that really made me laugh, where a woman stood up, she just won a game show.
Which is the capital of Northern Ireland? Right. Very good. 10. We need 10. 10.
Yeah, Jimmy Bolam, Room at the Bottom, and we had a great time with that show.
In which a rural dean said city folk had no idea what was going on in the countryside these days. All seems well as the church bells toll, calling the faithful to prayer. But at night... What happens at night?
These could be litter trained just like a cat, and a lot of people who have them, they'll have the free run of the house. The one thing about it is, though...
Well, I remember what that feels like. Kenny Lynch, you do a lot. You know, he used to do a amateur box. He used to come and watch me in the gym a lot, and I can remember him. He was doing a thing as a milkman.
The sun has got his hat on. Hip, 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 hooray. The sun has got his hat on and he's got me from today. The sun has got his hat on.
Oh, Mike, you're very happy today. I didn't know you could sing as well.
Yeah, well, I like your posting, you see.
I've seen it so many times on television when people are trying to cope with something on air, and they're trying to keep that smile.
Jack, now, why do they call them dogs? They don't look like dogs.
Well, they don't. They bark like a dog.
Oh my. He's nursing too. They're all nursing.
You don't.
On my tongue.
I know, but you.
Sexy.com, my little fingers. Okay, we've got it under control.
But see, they tickle, don't they?
They hurt, Jack.
But see, these are little prairie dogs.
Oh, wow! Be careful! No, nip.
Oh, they nip? And you noted a brief but heartfelt appearance there by someone who really knows a thing or two about small furry animals, Richard Whiteley, the man who hung a ferret on his forefinger for nigh on 90 seconds. But let's move now to a selection chosen by our technical crew, with the result that all of them, in one way or another, are based on equipment failure.
Obviously, as John Elway knows, in this league, with many teams capable of winning a Super Bowl, at least getting it far, you got to project maybe half a dozen teams have the horse.
Newest thing on the market, and if I in the air, shoes move on, bell rings. Hey, great. Okay, that's enough, guy. Okay, that's enough. Dale, you don't even be a lot like Christmas. There's a button in the back. Hold on. Hey, it's your wife, your girlfriend. You buy column. Christmas is just around the corner. Back over here. No, there's a way to turn this off.
Good evening. One of the most difficult crimes to detect is that committed by a stuck autocue.
Now for a look at what we'll have at 10 tonight. Here's News 7's Ann Lindstrom. Thanks, Kim. Coming up tonight at 10.
Here's another catchphrase.
Fallen angel? Fallen angel?
Fallen angel, not what we're looking for. Barbara?
Crying angel?
Crying angel? No, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for Columbo.
Superman had his Krypton, Achilles had his heel, and Roy Walker's got his computer graphics. Well, it's an accepted fact of television life that no matter how good a commercial is, it never has any credits at the end, almost as though they operate in a world where perfection is taken for granted. However, as we've had occasion to demonstrate, the fudge factor there is as high as anywhere.
It's a foaming aerosol. See what happens when I spray it? The foam builds and no dripping.
Well, as I go back far enough to have done advertising magazines, remember when we used to sell things live on air, so my heart goes out to this guy.
My dad bought this car from Don Sampson Ford 30 years ago. David Kimberly worked on the lube rack then. My daughter just bought the new Taurus. David Kimberly owns the dealership now. There are a lot of changes at Don Sampson Ford. You look, your car...
Come on, boys, let's go. Come on. Let's get here. Come on, be yeah. Huh. Hey. Cyril makes it easy for me with handy banks in over 30 locations.
Why do you have to always say that? Why do you have to always say that? Why do you? And why do you have to always say that?
You get into your spiel, it's all going swimmingly, brilliantly well, and then something happens.
Master has the inverted covers for easy storing, genuine Bakelite handles, and a little piece around the cover so you'll never burn your food. And these pens, friends, are guaranteed as long as you live. Look at this for abuse.
A selection of VHS and beta movies.
Come to the video station.
Hold this. Come to the video.
Adam Faith, I thought, was marvellous in this because I suspect that had they stuck to what he said, the campaign would have been rather more successful.
If you're not man enough to use birth control, you're not old enough to... I used to feel tired and listless all the time. My wife left me. My friends left me. My dog left me. And then I started eating prunes again. Just a few snack. And then they were so delicious, I started cooking with them again. And I began to feel
There's nothing worse than a precocious child, and it's very nice to see one undermined. Take 15. The people at Budget Rent-A-Car in Florida said that this offer has to be simple enough that even a kid can understand it. So, here goes. Rent a compact car or larger from any participating budget location in Florida. Purchase one.
Quiet used cars been my stamp of approval. They'll win yours too, but you need to be quick. Great cars like these just don't last long. Stop! Stop!
Confirming Rule 4 of the TV Survival Guide, never trust anything in motion. Well, another commercial break you hear shortly, so it's worth mentioning that in the posterior portion of the programme, we'll have a glittering cluster of brand new clips for you. Meantime, let's leave part 2 with some cherished examples of interviewer's nightmare, that bugbear of the question and answer trade known as picking a wrong one.
We might have had a couple of words with you. If I said to you, there was a problem with low-level ozone in this area, would you know what I was talking about?
Yeah, I'm a particle physicist.
I'm very proud of this clip because I thought I was the only non-believer in the world.
What's your favorite Bible story? How's it go?
Humpty Dumpty.
Yes, I was wondering how the grandmother got the children from her son and daughter-in-law.
Okay.
The daughter-in-law left the children before they was a year old. We don't know where she is now.
She's in jail.
There's one that's not very funny at all. In fact, it's not at all funny, which is why it's hysterical. It's a woman desperately trying to do her job, and a horse comes up.
Perhaps motorists should think of another way to get around town. Patricia?
What did you do before you were a hooker?
I was with Los Angeles Police Department as a traffic cop in the Hollywood Division for 10 years.
Why didn't you give it up?
I wanted a more honest profession.
You went outside and did you pick up the scalpel for the holidays?
Oh, definitely. You know, God has been very kind to us. Look at this. 2 wonderful bays, a castle, sunshine. Oh, what more do you want? Why go to the Mediterranean? They've nothing more to offer.
Thank you very much.
You believe that load of bullshit?
I've always liked the one about the American biker who's doing something very peculiar at the top of the clip with one of his nuts.
Tell me what happened very briefly.
This came off my motorcycle on radio. Fell off my radio. It's a knob, radio knob.
That was just as you were approaching the nuts bolts in the street that they're cleaning up now. How do you feel about that? Is that an old one?
It's a new one. I love ad-libbing, and this kid's ad-libbing at its best with the poor doll.
Funny young ladies here. Little Brooke, who seems to be very in love with Agro too, and Carolyn.
It's wonderful to be back.
Carolyn, if you don't know, it was formerly a one-bet order. A few years ago, when even Craig... Many years ago. What brings you back to Australia?
Basically, we're back visiting. A very happy grandma.
Is this the first time Brooke's been to Australia?
And Paul Nicholas, I think, is just absolutely brilliant. His face is just a picture.
The chap he's talking to doesn't realise that it has gone wrong and Paul has gone off on another tangent.
That seems to be the trouble. Well, it's Poirot here. He's not well. He's off his food, he's unsteady on his legs, he's got this rash on his back. Well, let's see if we can solve the case, shall we? Eh? Well, it's quite elementary, Mr. Kimball. I deduce that Poirot has got sunburn. Sunburn? You taking the mick? That's all. It's very common with pigs. Well, what's the answer? Easy. Just get a T-shirt and a pair of Ray-Bans. No, it's all, Mr. Kimball.
This guy who's bulletproof jacket is very, very proud of it.
What that I'm wearing is interlaced with pieces of iron. It's called a bulletproof vest. And for Metro police officers, it could save their lives. This morning, here at the gun range, they were demonstrating. To test the effectiveness, we'll fire a .22 caliber pistol into this vest.
think every presenter lives in fear of corpsing, but in a way wants to corpse. This is absolutely natural.
Drinking untreated stream water can give you intestinal ailment known as beaver fever. It gets its name because beaver and muskrat are the source of the parasite called Giardia. State health official says cold weather does not guarantee safe water. David Frost says beaver fever has been found in 31 of Washington's 39 counties, even in the winter.
As we told you last night on News Center, all this week we'll be bringing you season's greetings from servicemen and women who can't get home for the holidays.
Tonight's greeting comes from our Master Sergeant Agus.
Tonight's greeting goes out to a family in Dayton.
Oh, bless you, United Nations.
I like this clip very much because my father's a psychoanalyst, and it was the sort of ultimate Freudian slip.
One of the world's most eligible bastard. England Prince Charles.
You know, I don't think you'd find anybody in the country that doesn't think that Michael Williams isn't a great actor, except maybe one.
I bring great news, mighty Og, Lord of the Universe.
The thing on mine, I suppose, is the guy who's doing the interview with the wind's blowing up and blowing up a storm, and he's got this air that you can tell he's
Already listed as in residence for the September committee.
Isn't it a pity you can't Velcro the scalp? Anyway, good news now for anyone who's ever fallen over backwards taking nose drops. Don't be discouraged, because even highly trained members of the performing professions have been spotted experiencing the odd moment of agility failure. And we can show you where they were spotted.
The one I like best is the one with the lady presenter who's making an entrance, an announcement, for some reason, on the back of a donkey.
A real calamity, James, straight from the big screen, right? Well, they wouldn't give me a rail, see. Too expensive. So I have to end up making an ass of myself. Very agonising travel.
Right, let's take a break. I bet you're getting tired by now. You know, so far, 75,000.
The Druids began this tradition over 5...
Well, it's a case of turn anyone from 3, and here's the girl who's hoping to strike it lucky. Was she in for something? Her name is Carmel, and she comes from the East Midlands. Come in, Carmel.
a single oak. You're not bewitched, you're mad.
I hear you, but I don't see him. But I can find him for the rest of tonight's show. Stay right where you are. We'll be back.
I love this clip because it's really the quest for glamour, unfortunately going awry.
Now keep your hair away from your figure 8 rappelling device. Okay. You use rappelling when you come off a vertical section.
Oh my God, my extensions are hot. Hold on. Oh my God. Hold on with your right hand. If you fall, that's me. But my extensions are they caught in the thing? I don't believe it. The hair is caught in the rope.
Can you get it up?
I don't think so.
The Puerto Rican crested toad. Not the prettiest animal in the world, but there's only about 1,000 of these little gaffs left in the world. Almost 999.
There's a great one from an American soap that actually goes out at 8:30 in the morning, and it's a steaming nymphomaniac housewife trying to get a bloke's socks off.
Amy, please, please, I promise you won't go anywhere, please.
Not when I get through with you.
No, please, Annie, don't do this to me, please.
Okay.
Please, Annie.
Goes the shoes.
Don't do this to me.
And here go the little sackies. In just a moment, the sackies are gone.
Don't do this to me.
Are they glued?
No, I'm gonna stay.
Are your feet tattooed? Give me the goddamn shot.
and violence. But to continue this revision course, another favourite theme was the kind of outtake where those involved didn't realise they'd fallen into error, they simply carried on quite unaware. A bit like those cartoon cat moments where the cat keeps running even though there's now only air underneath him. Examples.
And what are you hoping to achieve then?
I would hope that the Brighton Council will agree to set up a body to look into costs of funerals in this town.
You say one thing and you realise it has a totally different meaning, and it starts something like the secret of a good day.
And a powerful lobby basically stems from a membership that supports the board. Like the old farming saying, the secret of a good lay is a firm bottom.
And in this case, it was the lovely delayed reaction of this guy.
Regarde pas. Pourquoi?
Parce que je veux que ça soit une surprise. J'aime pas quand les gens les voient. Que ce soit fini, c'est comme ça. Même Guillaume n'a pas le droit de voir.
Bon, très bien. De toute façon, c'est toi que je préfère admirer.
Ah, bah tu fais pas mon nez.
Je fais voir.
De toute façon, je finis toujours par me mettre sur les coups longtemps.
Now, we've got Craig in Ottawa to tell us what he's got there. Craig? Good morning, Craig. Hello. What are you going to be doing for us in Ottawa?
Not on yet, are we?
Yes. We're on.
Tonight, another debate between the two candidates. This time, the debate was in front of the lesbian and gay community of Denver. Deborah Quintana is standing by live right now at the Tracks nightclub where the debate took place. Debbie, I understand it's over. Anybody come out top?
This is from Miss Selfridge. It's a spotted dress. You can buy it out. I don't know, it's spotted. It's got lots of spots on it. You see it's spotted. And it's very thin cotton, and it must have cost about 25 quid. I bought it when I was pregnant, and I have not had it off since.
Then take the train, the TGV, and 1.5 hours later on the Train de Grande Vitesse, France's fast train, you find yourself here in Dijon, the heart of Burgundy, an area where the Pinot Noir grape mingles with Chardonnay to produce some of the finest wines in the world. So join us as we explore Burgundy country. Wait a minute, this is our train.
What wine goes with panic? Well, approaching next, a much favoured assortment, the romantic clips, scenes of kissing, fondling, love-making and similar contact sports. Many of them proving that, despite what people may say, it's not that easy taking a girl to bed on television.
Oh, Billy.
Hello, Mary.
Hello.
Flash, I love you.
Steady on, girl. There's a lady who is doing a very old-fashioned BBC-style, very romanticised promotion for Valentine's Day, and...
Now, how did you meet your loved one, or even your husband or wife? Was it desperately romantic? Did you go weak at the knees? Did your roses wilt in their stems? Oh, bugger.
Shall I see you again?
I don't know. What is there to see?
A great deal.
Your Highness, may I introduce you? To the bride and groom, my younger daughter, Susan, now Mrs. Beam. Thank you for coming.
I get this piece of pineapple stuck right here.
I didn't taste it.
I can remember occasions in which I have been sung at on TV and wanted to do to the person who's singing in my face exactly what the chimpanzee does to this lady.
That's life in Nashville. Work hard, play hard, fall down hard. But it brings us to our final compilation, the ones you haven't seen before. And therefore, the moment for me to say first our usual thank you to all those media people who've allowed us to place their private mortifications on public exhibition. And secondly, to express our customary regret for the clips we didn't manage to get hold of. Like the moment when Lloyd Grossman and his entire camera crew got arrested for breaking and entering, the documentary on vasectomy where someone misunderstood the director's shot of cut, and the episode of Baywatch where Mitch forgot to remove his chewing gum during mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Onward then to our farewell bunch, and all of these, as promised, from the Cock-Up Lock-Up labelled Brand New Ones.
Okay, that's fine. Next.
Now, the next thing we've got, I've got this wonderful Indian spark wine called Omar Khayyam, which is, it's actually very good. It's produced in India, Fuller sell it down in the south, and
on Washington, visibility was
Right, I want to talk to smokers with young children. Your cigarette smoke can seriously damage your children's health. It can aggravate asthma and increase the risk of chest infections. So, give it up now.
This is the Oaxacan caviar. Crickets and grasshoppers actually boiled to their red, and this is a delicacy.
Here comes to Amsterdam Zoo.
A place where giant strides have been made to bring zoo animals and visitors closer together.
Mama said there'd be days like this. I just wish they weren't all Thursdays. With the Fisher Game Report, I'm Frank Davis with Channel 4 Eyewitness News. I don't know. Maybe I'll get in one cast.
Anyone there? Ryan Burrows, another man facing a future outside of the army. Ryan, tell us about your army career, how long you've been in, what you've been doing, etc.
I'm in the Air Force, actually.
Fine, get a pen.
action.
I don't know.
Are you sure we haven't forgotten anybody?
Morris. Morris.
Lagerkomponisten in Deutschland
What can you tell me about Dennis Norton?
He does. No.
he gets everything wrong. And he played in, he does cocks up.
Hello, and welcome to our collection of what are now known around these parts as cocks up. You know, those little moments members of the media tend not to put on their CVs. And tonight, as our contribution to the cause of conservation, the programme is manufactured from recycled parts of previous shows, specifically those put out over the past 5 years or so. Now, as ever with these anthology programmes, the main difficulty was choosing which clips to include. So, to make the decision process easier, we didn't just rely on viewers' requests and our own personal references. We also recruited a selection committee of a type very rarely seen in this price range. Some of the stars and personalities whose own momentary lapses from perfection we have in the past had the pleasure of exhibiting. Talking about this class of person.
I think my favourite of all time is the live interview of the rabbi with his two sons around him.
Oh, this is one of my favourites.
Tonight begins the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights. And stand by at his home, live with us tonight, is Rabbi Bradley Bleeth of the Baltimore Hebrew Congregation with his family. And now they will light the first light of Hanukkah.
Praised are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has kept us in life, sustained us, and permitted us to reach this joyous occasion. Amen.
Rabbi Bleeth, this is Richard Scher, and we'd like you to explain the significance of Hanukkah, if you would.
Religious freedom. We commemorate the time of 2,000 years ago when a small group of Jews fought for their religious freedom against the Assyrians. And indeed has a special meaning this year because we, the Jewish community, share the concern that hostages being held in Iraq. They too are suffering under a contemporary form of religious freedom.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just love Beryl Reid. And again, being in the business, I mean, I think when we dry, you know, the official term for it is just wonderful. I think Beryl's very delicate in what she says.
Whenever they start dumping their filth on this planet, they usually pick the places that are still filthy from the last industrial revolution. Silly old cow.
And there's this beautifully trained collie dog which sets off to do magnificent tricks, and then everything goes wrong.
The thing that actually baffles me is that in this country, for some reason, when a prisoner's taken out of a van, they always put a plank over his head. This had to happen sometime. I can empathise with that woman who's surrounded by turkeys so much. I'm terrified of animals, but turkeys.
You never notice how ugly these things are? They're big and nothing on them is blunt. Everything is sharp and they are ugly. Yes, they are, but nonetheless, every Christmas and Thanksgiving show. My table next Christmas, there's one on everybody's table, but coming up next, another main course. You look... Alligator, whatever, just go to the story. Show!
Bernard Matthews could say what he likes. I'm with that lady. They are ugly. In fact, I read somewhere when turkeys make love, the female closes her eyes and thinks of a swan. But tell you one rather alarming thing the choices of our judging panel revealed. There was a distinct preference for clips that might be described as teach yourself grievous bodily harm, a tendency that's certainly evident in this next pile, which is built around sport, exercise and other such damaging activities.
Well, the one I really like is because when I wake up in the morning, I really feel that sometimes I should go for a run. I mean, you look at the state of me, I'm not a fit man. But this clip made me decide I'm healthier staying in bed.
I
was much amused by the reporter who was trying to launch the campaign on trying to keep bad language off the terraces at a football match.
So Bristol Rovers and Bristol City are leading the way in this last-ditched attempt to clean up the language on the terraces. Whether it's going to work, that will have to be seen. But nevertheless, the directors of Bristol Rovers are absolutely adamant today to make sure that the crowds, the family, the supporters and every person else...
Well, Katie, not only have you got a fine pair of legs, you've got one heck of a pair of boots. You've given up boots, I said boots. This choice is the jockey, because I can understand how he felt perfectly being an ex-sportsman.
Footballers were not always non-smokers. I could tell you of two who played for Newcastle United during those famous cup finals of the 1950s and were delighted to hear referees whistle at half-time so they could go and light up in the Wembley dressing room. It is different now, of course. You never ever see a professional smoker playing football.
Ai chwarae ar draws
Zobard has been named by the English cross-country selectors for their team of the World Championship in Portugal next month, despite the tremendous disappointment of having been forced to run out in the English Championship today. So that brings us to the end of our programme. Now let's have a look at the copsucker that cuts off.
There was a certain wrestler, I think he's trying to do some promotions for his wrestling show, and he's doing a Mummy Daddy, but he's going,
Jackson, MSB, nothing at home. That's the man you are. You will destroy my work in 4 minutes and get away with it.
The man in the white suit had a twitch in his right eyelid ever since. But that incident could also have found a place in our next bundle of clips, because what they're here to illustrate is the important television precept: place no trust at all in any of your colleagues. As witness to that, Sue Carpenter takes the stand.
Newscaster in the studio, I love the way he turned around to speak to everyone behind him.
Hello again, looking ahead to the second edition of 7 National News tonight at 10:35, and we talk at length to Youth, Sport and Recreation Minister Neil Tresize. Would you please shut up, for Christ's sake, I'm on air. Excuse me.
It was something I've always wanted to do.
Now you desire quickly to slow the machine down. You can press 2 controls at once.
Our reporter Kay Burley has been down to Buckingham Palace, where traditionally they pin the news on the gate. Let's see the crowds.
Well, as you can see, the rain's so far been keeping crowds away here. Well, I think this one's a perfect example of something that would frequently happen to me on TVAM when I'd be handing back to somebody and I would see their face and I would not remember the names.
Tomorrow is the last day of summer. Karen? Karen. Susan.
Well, Sloan Brown has a... You can see her in the background. She, unfortunately, is on crutches tonight. Sloan Brown...